Fans of high-quality action television have to be riding high these days, as the streaming revolution of the past several years has ensured that a plethora of intense, action-heavy, exceptional series are always just one play button away. From HBO to AMC, Netflix to FX, it seems like every network has been striving to offer action TV shows that are dramatically rich, intellectually complex, and have cinema-grade levels of action. Metabolism is, as the Mayo Clinic put it, the process by which your body converts what you eat and drink into energy. But, where to start? Metacritic is happy to be your guide. During this complex process, calories in food and beverages are combined with oxygen to release the energy your body needs to function. Anytime your body does something, anything, it needs the energy from calories to do it. Basal metabolic rate, BMR, refers to the calories burned just keeping your body alive, breathing, controlling body temperature, repairing cells, etc. We also burn calories in the process of digesting and absorbing food, known as thermogenesis. Using a weighted average, Metascore, of aggregated critical reviews, it's a trusted authority when it comes to pointing you towards what's worth watching. Per the site's point system, any series that scores above an 81 has achieved universal acclaim, making those with a score of 90 and above as close to a consensus of perfect as you can get. Of course, every television series has its highs and sometimes lows, unless your name is Breaking Bad, but a number of series have seasons that are outright fantastic. Physical activity, whether in the form of structured exercise or incidental movements like walking around your house or picking up a book, also requires calories. When your body extracts calories from food, those calories are burned to meet the body's current energy needs. Anything extra that isn't needed right away is stored, mostly as body fat, for later use. Although doing more physical activity is the easiest way to up your body's energy needs and burn more calories, some foods and drinks can boost your metabolism by creating small, temporary impacts on BMR, thermogenesis, or how many calories can actually be extracted from your food as it passes through your digestive tract. Here's a look at some of these foods and drinks. Coffee. In addition to putting some pep in your step, coffee can boost your metabolism thanks to its caffeine content. One landmark study, published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, examined the effects of caffeine on the metabolism of lean and post-obese individuals. Dare we say, near perfect. Using their Metascores for criteria, here are the classic TV seasons that were not merely when these shows were at their best, but rather were at everyone's best. The researchers found that 100 mg dose of caffeine, equivalent to roughly 1 cup of coffee, increased the resting metabolic rate of all participants by 3 to 4% over the course of 150 minutes. These are the action TV series that achieved near perfection, and the seasons that were their most flawless. Samurai Jack, Season 5, created for Cartoon Network by Genndy Tartakovsky, Samurai Jack followed a samurai prince armed with a magic katana capable of cutting. When given 6 100 mg doses of caffeine over a 12-hour period, lean subjects burned an average of 150 more calories while post-obese individuals burned an extra 79. Another study published in the same journal noted that although caffeine didn't seem to affect the breakdown of carbohydrates for fuel, it did seem to promote fat burning. And, when taken with food, caffeine appeared to increase the thermic effect of the meal, the number of calories the body burns just digesting food. It's important to note that caffeine content in coffee varies by bean and preparation. Well, pretty much anything. After his kingdom was taken over by the shape-shifting demon Aku, and just before Jack was near triumph, he was sent forward by the demon into a dystopian future. An 8-ounce cup of brewed coffee has approximately 96 milligrams, whereas the same size serving of instant coffee only has about 62 milligrams. And espresso packs a big punch. A single ounce has roughly 64 milligrams of caffeine. Green tea. If you prefer tea to coffee, you'll be happy to know that it, too, boosts metabolism. His quest became returning to his own time and defeating the entity before its takeover was complete. The series initially ran for 4 seasons between 2001 and 2004, and Adult Swim revived the series in 2017 for a final 5th season. And that season is pretty much a masterpiece. Taking place 50 years after Jack was sent to the future, we see the samurai warrior ageless from his supernatural time travel but haunted by hallucinations. For starters, both black and green tea contain caffeine, though significantly less than coffee. An 8-ounce cup of black tea has about 47 milligrams, whereas the same size mug of green tea has 28 milligrams.
However, green teas also contain high levels of catechins. Catechins are a type of flavonoid, a class of chemicals found in plants that give them their color. He has lost his mystical sword, is at his lowest point and almost suicidal from an ageless 5 decades of futile combat. Season 5 is dark. Yet in the midst of abject despair Jack finds a new inspiration, a renewed life, and a capacity to fight again. It's an intense season with a fulfilling, emotionally complex, and action-packed ending that serves as the perfect conclusion to a classic animated action series. Clearly, others agree, as Metacritic gives it a 93 Metascore. Game of Thrones, Season 4, HBO's Game of Thrones, based on a series of fantasy novels by author George R.R. Although found in other foods, including applies and berries, catechins are particularly concentrated in the leaves of the tea plant, from which white, green, oolong, and black tea are produced. Because of how tea leaves are processed to create black and oolong teas, however, these varieties contain minimal catechins. A 2011 paper published in the journal Obesity Reviews found that a combination catechin-caffeine supplement increased total daily energy expenditure by about 4.7%. It also increased fat oxidation, burning, by 16% over the course of a 24-hour period. Martin follows the struggles for power of a series of noble families on the fictional continent of Westeros, each vying for rulership following the death of King Robert Baratheon. So, if you want the 1-2 punch of caffeine and catechins to rev up your metabolism, green tea is your best bet. Seaweed. You can think of metabolism as a factory. The workers, the body's cells, turn food into energy, and the thyroid gland is the foreman, supervising and regulating everything. It does this by producing 2 hormones, T3, triiodothyronine, and T4, thyroxine. These hormones affect every cell in the body and dictate how quickly or slowly that cell uses energy. Iodine is an essential component of these hormones, and the thyroid extracts and stores this mineral. In addition to iodized table salt, seaweed is an excellent source of iodine. The central protagonists are the members of House Stark, who spend much of the series fleeing the aftermath of the beheading of their father Ned Stark, Sean Bean, and the wrath of House Lannister, who hold the throne. Season 4 begins with the melting and reforging of House Stark's ancestral Valyrian steel sword, a symbol of the Lannisters' near destruction of the house following the murder of Robb Stark, Richard Madden, at the Red Wedding. From the wedding of King Joffrey, Raymond Griffiths, and Marjorie Tyrell, Natalie Dormer, to Joffrey's death to the massive, free folk, assault at the Wall while Daenerys Targaryen, Emilia Clarke, builds her forces, including 3 growing dragons, it all feels like GOT's greatest hits. The season ends with the shocking death of Tywin Lannister, Charles Dance, the mastermind behind the family's rise to prominence, ending a tumultuous season with yet another change in fortunes. Amounts vary based on variety, however. It was a truly shocking season, filled with monumental events that would change the course of the show, showcasing some of the series' best writing, which may be why the Metascore is a must-watch at 86. Battlestar Galactica, Season 3, the Battlestar Galactica reimagining of the early 2000s became an unlikely phenomenon, thrilling both audiences and critics. Loosely based on the 1978 series of the same name, Galactica is a military science fiction series set in a distant star system, focused on a spacefaring federation from a set of planets known collectively as the 12 colonies of Kobol. The technologically advanced humans there had long ago created a race of androids, Cylons, with whom they had gone to war. The events of the series are set in motion when the Cylons launch a sneak attack on the colonies, killing the vast majority of the human population. The masterful Season 3 sees the survivors, now settled in a colony on a planet named New Caprica, contending with the occupation of New Caprica by a Cylon force. A puppet government, led by Gaius Balthar, James calls, provides the interface between Cylons and humanity, while a burgeoning resistance movement grows. According to a 2014 study published in the Journal of Food and Drug Analysis, kombu has the highest average iodine content, 2,523.5 mg per kilogram, followed by wakame, 139.7 mg per kilogram, and nori, 36.9 mg per kilogram. This means that even the minuscule amount of seaweed wrapped around your favorite sushi roll is providing a hefty dose of iodine. A quarter ounce, 7 grams, of nori, for instance, provides 258.3 mcg of iodine. The National Institutes of Health recommends that adults get 150 mcg of iodine daily to maintain proper thyroid function. The Battlestar Galactica achieves a daring rescue of the subjugated colonists, and the rest of the season sees significant action, world-building, and events with complex political implications. For instance, what should be done to those who collaborated with their Cylon oppressors? At its best, Galactica married excellent action sequences with top-tier drama, and deeper explorations of moral, social, and political questions than most shows would dare attempt. But getting too much iodine can be just as dangerous as not getting enough. That daring attitude, and the prowess that pulled it off, puts the series at an 89 Metascore. Deadwood, Season 2. Set in the 1870s in a town called Deadwood, South Dakota, David Milch's Deadwood was a revelation from its first episode. Never before had a Western looked, felt or sounded like this before. The series is about a town that began as an illegal settlement outside U.S. law. Adults should not exceed 1,100 mcg daily. Brazil nut selenium is a trace mineral you've likely never heard of, but it has an important role to play in metabolism. Men and women need 55 mcg daily, and pregnant women need 60 mcg. Selenium is found in both plant and animal foods, but Brazil nuts are by far the best source. As ex-Marshal Seth Bullock, Timothy Oliphant, relocated to Deadwood to start a business, Season 1 chronicled the machinations of saloon owner Al Swearingen, Ian McShane, his increasing conflicts with Bullock, and the town's growing pains, culminating in Bullock becoming the sheriff of Deadwood at the end of the first season. Season 2 brought increasing pressures in Bullock's life, as his relationship with widow Alma Garrett, Molly Parker, came under increased scrutiny upon his wife and stepson's arrival in Deadwood. 6 to 8 nuts, 1 ounce, contain 544 mcg, almost 10 times the recommended daily amount. In fact, you should only eat Brazil nuts a few times a week to avoid getting too much selenium. According to a 2017 paper published in the International Journal of Endocrinology, selenium plays 2 important roles in the thyroid. Tensions between Bullock and Swearingen were at a head, and things got only worse as geologist Francis Walcott, Garrett Dillahunt, arrived, introducing further complexity and chaos with his propensity for sexual violence, including the murders of several prostitutes. It's a tense season of a great show at its peak, with an 85 Metascore, showing the true depravity that could exist in the darker corners of frontier life. The Shield, Season 1, the FX series, The Shield, was a breakthrough in feel, tone and anti-heroism, following a bastion of corrupt cops as they navigate the slippery slopes of justifying their actions. 2002's Season 1 introduced new Captain David Aceveda, Benito Martinez, who wanted to investigate the strike team and their leader Detective Vic Mackey, Michael Chiklis, his Emmy-winning role, for their involvement in more illegal activities than Napster. Featuring a powerhouse supporting cast that included Jay Carnes, as Wagenbach, CCH Pounder, as the no-nonsense Claudette, and the breakthrough work of Walton Goggins, as over-loyal attack dog Shane Vendrell. The Shield was an exceptional series, and for years its pilot episode, which concludes with Mackey killing a cop in cold blood, was considered among the best ever produced. The powerhouse first season sets in motion many of the major dynamics that informed the rest of this classic series, making it a no-brainer for one of the best seasons ever of an action TV show. On Metacritic, it rests at a lofty 89 rating. The Hollow Crown, Series 1, The Hollow Crown, whose first cycle is an adaptation of Shakespeare's second, Henriette, tetralogy, had one thing going for it from moment one: it's based on some of the greatest storytelling in the Western canon. The series begins with King Richard, called in to settle a dispute between his cousin Henry Bolingbroke and Thomas Mowbray. First, it serves as an antioxidant, protecting the thyroid against damage from free radicals. Chided by Henry's father, John of Gaunt, he seizes Gaunt's property before leaving for war. These free radicals are a natural byproduct of creating thyroid hormones, but if left unchecked, they could seriously damage the thyroid. Bolingbroke returns with allies, takes Richard prisoner, and claims the throne. Rebellions escalate and challenge the now dying king's rule, until they're finally overcome, bringing Henry peace and reconciliation with his son. Second, selenium is a component of iodothyronine deiodinases, enzymes that can activate or deactivate thyroid hormones T3 and T4. Finally, in Henry V, these hormones in turn control metabolism in every cell of the body. Given selenium's important role in the thyroid, it's not surprising that this butterfly-shaped organ contains the highest concentration of the micronutrient anywhere in the body.
Oysters. Zinc plays an important supporting role in your metabolism, and there's no better source than oysters. According to Healthline, 6 medium oysters contain 32 milligrams, a whopping 291% of the recommended daily intake. We see the latter, now King Henry V, enthroned, but facing a challenge from without: war drums from France. Although the thyroid uses iodine to produce the hormones that regulate metabolism, zinc is also required. According to a paper published in 2013, zinc is needed for triiodothyronine, T3, receptors to become active. Henry prepares to lead his armies across the Channel to meet the enemy at Agincourt. It doesn't really get better than Shakespeare, with fine drama, epic action, and beautiful dialogue. T3 is one of the 2 hormones produced by the thyroid that regulate metabolism, and if T3 receptors on body cells aren't active, they can't accept T3 and won't metabolize energy correctly. This BBC production brought it all to life with exceptional performances, stunning cinematography, and well-executed adaptations overall, making it worthy of its 89 rating. Game of Thrones, Season 5. Remember how shocked we all were when Jon Snow got stabbed, repeatedly, by his own men, leaving the show's closest thing to a hero lying in bloody heap? Yup, that was Season 5. This pivotal GOT season also gave us The High Sparrow, Jonathan Pryce, the Faith Militant, the arrest of Marjorie Tyrell's homosexual brother Loras Tyrell, Finn Jones, and Cersei's imprisonment and subsequent Walk of Atonement. Shame, shame, indeed. Season 5 was also notoriously once again unkind to anyone associated with House Stark. Zinc deficiency has been linked to hypothyroidism, underactive thyroid, which is characterized by weight gain and a number of other unpleasant symptoms. Arya, Maisie Williams, fared best, training to become a faceless man, while Sansa, Sophie Turner, suffered through her time with the evil Ramsay Bolton, Ewan Rion. North of the Wall, Jon Snow was elected Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, pursued a controversial alliance with the Free Folk to combat the emergent threat of the White Walkers, and we finally saw the awesome might of the Night King and his forces. Thyroid hormones are also necessary for the proper absorption of zinc from the diet, so hypothyroidism can exacerbate zinc deficiency, creating a vicious cycle. According to the National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases, hypothyroidism affects approximately 4.6% of Americans. Hot peppers. When it comes to supercharging your metabolism, a little spice may be just what you need. Capsaicinoids, the chemicals that give hot peppers their kick, appear to assist weight loss in 3 ways, according to a 2012 study published in the journal Appetite. These include: 1. Increased energy expenditure, 2. Increased lipid oxidation, fat burning, and 3. Reduced appetite. The authors noted that eating capsaicinoids increases energy expenditure by about 50 calories a day, an increase that would lead to clinically significant weight loss in a year or 2. Then it all ended with our hero John dead, or was he? Filled with monumental challenges, betrayals, and epic battles, Season 5 is remembered as one of its best. Justified, Season 2, developed by Graham Yost from Elmore Leonard's Raylan Givens stories, the Kentucky set, Justified, told the story of Givens' Timothy Oliphant, a dedicated U.S. A 2018 study published in BMC Obesity similarly found that capsaicinoids are responsible for enhanced metabolism and reduced both body fat and fat mass. However, capsaicinoid content varies depending on the type of pepper, ranging between 0.1 and 4.25 milligrams per gram of pepper. Marshall, whose approach to justice, shall we say, bends the rules. Season 2 had Givens struggling to deal with the Bennett clan's criminal enterprises. The Scoville Heat Index was developed to measure capsaicinoid levels, and thus heat, in peppers. With meth kingpin Bo Crowder dead, the Bennetts intended to expand their marijuana business into Crowder territory, resulting in antagonism between the criminal clans. The season's standout drama was further amplified by the reveal of a deep-seated antagonism between the Bennetts and Givens, in a season strong with excellent performances, loads of action, and intriguing worldbuilding that considerably expanded our understanding of Givens' family history in the region. Still a beloved series more than a half-decade after it went off the air, Justified didn't get enormous ratings, but did have loyal fans who sang its praises whenever they could. The series sits at a lofty 86 rating, and it doesn't get any better than Season 2. Game of Thrones, Season 3. There's a reason why Game of Thrones keeps appearing on this list, even if the controversial last season made us forget. It was a really good show. Season 3 had Westeros still beset by civil war between the various factions demanding the coveted Iron Throne.
Mild-mannered bell peppers are at the bottom of the scale, at 0, while jalapenos have a rating of 2,500 to 8,000. We saw Jon Snow meeting Free Folk leader Mance Rayder, Kieran Hines, his romance with Ygritte, Rose Leslie, and Bran's quest to meet the Three-Eyed Raven, the central thread of his character arc. The Starks overall fared quite poorly, with a number of Robb's tactical failures coming back to bite him. The Naga Jalakia pepper clocks in at approximately 1 million, and pure capsaicin tops the scale at 15 million. Chicken breast. There's a reason chicken breast is beloved by both bodybuilders and dieters alike. In addition to supporting muscle growth, the high protein content in chicken breast, 27 grams per 3-ounce serving, aids weight loss thanks to the thermic effect of food, TEF. As a 2014 paper published in Nutrition and Metabolism explained, the thermic effect of food is a metabolic response to food. But most memorably, the season gave us a horrifying sequence that would come to be known as the Red Wedding. The Starks, including Robb, his bride, and Catelyn, were warmly welcomed, then roundly massacred in a huge victory for the Lannisters. Finally, Daenerys made perhaps the best acquisition for her army other than dragons in gaining the infamous eunuch slave soldiers known as the Unsullied. These events and many more came into play in Season 3, one of the most eventful and heartbreaking of the entire series, and that's saying a lot. The Expanse, Season 4, sci-fi action series. The Expanse took place hundreds of years in the future, after humanity had colonized the solar system. Over time, this had resulted in a series of powerful factions: the United Nations of Earth and Luna, the Martian Congressional Republic, based on Mars, of course, and the Outer Planets Alliance, comprised of the colonies around the asteroid belt and the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. While earlier seasons had explored the increasing tension between the factions, everything changed in Season 4. Food intake results in a transient increase in energy expenditure attributable to the various steps of nutrient processing. In other words, you've got to spend energy to make energy. Interstellar travel to thousands of new worlds. Conflicts between factions more tense than ever. All while Earth's United Nations and the Martian Parliament maintained a blockade of the dangerous wormhole. After the UN charters a colony ship to Ilis, refusing to recognize Belter sovereignty, and naming the newly discovered planet, New Terra, the ship's landing is sabotaged, causing loss of lives and escalating tensions even further. The authors noted that TEF is measured as a percentage increase in energy expenditure above basal metabolic rate, BMR, or the calories you burn by simply existing. Protein produces the largest increase, 15 to 30%, while carbs produce a more modest spike, 5 to 10%, and fats produce very little, 0 to 3%. Protein is especially important when eating at a caloric deficit because it preserves muscle mass. As the situation on Ilis worsened, the ship Rocinante arrived in the midst of the conflict. A series of ancient, long-dormant alien structures on the planet began to awaken and malfunction, causing a massive tsunami. Meanwhile, an Outer Planets Alliance pirate named Marco Inaros, Kian Alexander, was unsuccessfully hunted by the UN over the season, before it was revealed that he had plans for a potentially devastating attack against Earth. It was a thrilling end to the excellent Season 4, and a 72 rating cements The Expanse as one of the best sci-fi action series in recent memory. Justified, Season 4 of Justified, had Givens investigating a 30-year-old case of potentially fraudulent activity. Muscle requires more calories to maintain than other types of body tissue, so maintaining muscle mass prevents a drop in your BMR. Waldo Truth, the patriarch of the Truth family, had been cashing disability checks for 30 years despite the marshals believing him to be long dead, meaning someone else was behind the crime. We gradually discovered the crux of the mystery over the course of the season. A 2013 study in the Journal of Nutrition concluded that 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram, 2.2 pounds, of body weight was necessary to maintain BMR while eating at a caloric deficit. Lentils. When it comes to its metabolism-boosting abilities, not all protein is created equal. There are 20 amino acids that form the building blocks of protein, and 2 of them, arginine and glutamine, appear to have more of an effect on metabolism than others. Legumes are packed with protein, and lentils in particular are excellent sources of both arginine and glutamine. A 1-cup serving has 17.9 grams of protein, of which 1,380 mg is arginine and 2,770 mg is glutamine, also known as glutamic acid. A 2010 paper published in the journal Amino Acids examined arginine's impact on body weight and concluded that it increased the expression of genes that regulate burning of carbohydrates, fats, and protein as fuel. Drew Thompson joined the Tonin crime family, but events caused him to go on the run and hide from the Tonins. It also stimulated the growth of mitochondria, the tiny factories inside each cell where energy is created. As for glutamine, one 2006 study found that glutamine supplements taken alongside a meal increased energy expenditure after the meal, possibly because of glutamine's effects on insulin. The researchers noted that immediately after the meal, breakdown of carbohydrates increased, whereas fat burning increased a bit later on. Liver. If you can stomach it, liver can do wonders for your metabolism thanks to its high levels of B vitamins. According to Healthline, a 3.5-ounce serving contains 201% of your daily riboflavin, B2, 87% of your niacin, B3, 138% of your biotin, B7, and a whopping 1,386% of your cobalamin, B12, as well as respectable amounts of the other B vitamins. B vitamins are vital to metabolism. As the authors of a 2020 paper published in the journal Nutrients explained, all the B vitamins except folate are involved in at least one and often in several steps of the energy production system within the cell. The mitochondria inside each cell need B vitamins to convert food into usable energy. Drew conspired with Waldo Truth, who agreed to die in Drew's place, thus Drew faked his own death, and Drew proceeded to live as Shelby Parlow to hide his identity. Another study, published in Current Medical Science in 2018, concluded that B vitamins may reduce weight gain by improving the effectiveness of enzymes that metabolize food. In other words, B vitamins improve the body's ability to turn food into immediate energy, reducing the chances that it gets stored as extra pounds. If you just can't get over liver's strong taste and spongy texture, there are plenty of other places to get your B vitamins. Healthline recommends beef, salmon, eggs, milk, legumes, and dark leafy vegetables, among others. Dark chocolate lovers rejoice. As it turns out, cacao may be as good for your metabolism as it is for your mood. In a 2014 paper published in Psychotherapy Research, a team led by Dr. Grace Farhat concluded that dark chocolate may reduce obesity by affecting the metabolism of fats and carbohydrates. Waldo's parachuted body was found and made to appear to be Drew, and a man named Harold Shawn pretended to be the real Waldo Truth in order to continue providing the Truth family with their disability check income, keeping up the appearance that Waldo Truth was indeed alive. It's an interesting criminal conspiracy that reveals a lot about crime history in the justified world, and an exceptional season of action-heavy TV. Rescue Me, Season 3, Rescue Me, was a beloved FX series that highlighted the exploits of New York City firefighters, starring Dennis Leary. Leary played Tommy Galvin, plagued by guilt over the firefighter friends he lost in 9/11, as well as by dreams of his cousin and best friend Jimmy, a firefighter also lost in the terrorist attacks. While all the seasons are admirably developed entries that hinge on one of the most emotionally complex moments in recent American memory, the series hit its biggest strides in Season 3. Tommy's on-again off-again relationship with his wife Janet, Andrea Roth, came to a head in Season 3 via her affair with his brother Johnny, as did a later scene where he forced himself on her, highlighting the instability of the character. The season continued to escalate via Johnny's death as well as the roofie slipping Sheila's fire that nearly kills them both. This effect is achieved through several mechanisms, including, decreasing the expression of genes involved in fatty acid synthesis, reducing the digestion and absorption of fats and carbohydrates, and increasing satiety, fullness. Dark chocolate's high levels of polyphenols, specifically flavonoids, are likely the cause of its metabolism-boosting powers. Polyphenols are a group of plant compounds with antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. Flavonoids make up about 60% of all polyphenols and include quercetin, camphorol, catechins, and anthocyanins, among others. In addition to their impact on metabolism, polyphenols may also reduce your risk for cancer and heart disease, lower blood sugar levels, and improve brain function. If you like your chocolate on the lighter and sweeter side, however, you won't get the same slimming benefits. It's a tense season with a number of controversial aspects, but they came together to result in a well-received season full of exceptional drama, as evidenced by Metacritic's 85 rating. Game of Thrones, Season 2. How else could we end this list except with more Game of Thrones? Season 2 was still reeling from the death of Ned Stark, resulting in the scattering of the Stark family across Westeros, in an attempt to evade Cersei Lannister, King Robert's vicious and scheming widow, and sparking the War of Five Kings, the long series of military conflicts between competing noble factions over the rulership of Westeros. A number of monumental events happened throughout the second season, including Robb's military victories against the Lannisters and crowning as King of the North, Joffrey's abuse of Sansa, Renly and Stannis Baratheon's early attempts to lay claim to the Iron Throne, and Theon Greyjoy's move to capture the Starks' home of Winterfell. Meanwhile, Daenerys Targaryen, of the House Targaryen whose rule Robert Baratheon had deposed, was seeking to rebuild her family's power in neighboring Essos with 3 growing dragons under her command. As the Harvard School of Public Health explained, dark chocolate contains up to 2 to 3 times more flavanol-rich cocoa solids than milk chocolate. Coconut oil is enjoying a surge in popularity thanks in large part to its high levels of medium-chain triglycerides, MCTs. MCTs, which are made up of shorter chains of carbon molecules than other types of fats, have a very different metabolic effect than long-chain triglycerides, LCTs. MCTs reduce body fat levels by decreasing the expression of genes that regulate fat storage. The result was a harrowing season that demonstrated the growing political chaos of Westeros, and signaled a number of the inevitable conflicts to come along in other top-rated seasons of the show. They're also a preferred source of energy, easily broken down by the body for fuel. This means they're less likely to end up stored on your midsection. A 2003 study published in Obesity Research, for example, concluded that consumption of a diet rich in MCTs results in greater loss of adipose tissue, aka body fat, compared with LCTs, perhaps due to increased energy expenditure and fat oxidation, burning. According to Healthline, coconut oil is approximately 55% MCTs. Other dietary sources of MCTs include palm kernel oil, 54%, whole milk, 9%, and butter, 8%. You can also purchase MCT oil as a supplement. MCT oil is man-made and contains high concentrations of caprylic acid and/or capric acid, the particular MCTs believed to be most beneficial. Apple cider vinegar. If you've gotten on the apple cider vinegar, aka ACV, bandwagon, you may see some effects on your metabolism. There are few studies on humans, but in one, researchers gave 175 individuals a drink containing either 0, 1, or 2 tablespoons of vinegar daily. After 3 months, body weight, BMI, visceral fat, waist circumference, and triglyceride levels were lower among participants who'd consumed vinegar. The study, published in the journal Bioscience, Biotechnology, and Biochemistry, noted that the acetate in vinegar appears to prevent lipogenesis, the formation of fat from glucose, and may also promote lipid oxidation, the burning of fat for energy. If you decide to use ACV as a metabolism booster, you should be careful. Vinegar is a strong acid and should always be diluted in a lot of water. Drinking too much or improperly diluted ACV can have a number of nasty side effects, including digestive upset, erosion of tooth enamel, bone mineral loss, and burns to the esophagus. Ginger. Spicing up your food with ginger may increase the amount of calories you burn digesting your meal. A 2013 study published in the journal Metabolism concluded that although ginger didn't increase total resting energy expenditure, the calories we burn to keep our basic bodily processes, like breathing, chugging along, it did increase the thermic effect of food, the calories we burn as we break down food, by about 43 calories per day. The chemical compound gingerol may give ginger its weight loss properties. A 2014 study published in the Journal of the Science of Food and Agriculture found that gingerol supplements decreased the activity of lipase, the digestive enzyme that breaks down fats, and amylase, the digestive enzyme that breaks down carbohydrates. When these enzymes are less active, the body isn't able to extract as much energy from food as it passes through the digestive tract. Gingerol also appears to lower insulin levels. This is important because, in addition to driving glucose into body cells, Insulin promotes fat storage, so keeping insulin levels low keeps body fat down. It's important to note, however, that this study was conducted on rats, not humans. There's a lot of hype surrounding lemon water as a metabolism booster, but it's the water, not necessarily the lemon, doing the boosting. However, researchers differ on just how useful plain ol' H2O is for revving up your metabolism. A paper published in the Journal of Endocrinology and Metabolism found that, drinking 500 milliliters of water increased metabolic rate by 30%. The increase occurred within 10 minutes and reached a maximum after 30 to 40 minutes. The authors concluded that drinking 2 liters of water daily would increase energy expenditure by approximately 400 kilojoules, about 96 calories. A later study published in the same journal, however, found that room temperature water had no effect on energy expenditure, while drinking water cooled to 3 degrees Celsius (37.4 degrees Fahrenheit) only increased energy expenditure by a modest 4.5% over the course of an hour. Nevertheless, the Institute of Medicine, IOM, recommends women aim for 91 ounces (2.7 liters) of fluids each day, whereas men should get 125 ounces (3.7 liters). The IOM noted that not all fluids have to come from plain water, and everyone's exact hydration requirements vary. Factors such as exercising, temperature, illness, and pregnancy can all impact fluid needs.